live yet? Yes, we're live.
Here we are.
There will be spoilers, episode 2. And in case the name of this show hasn't given it away, there will be spoilers throughout this episode. So if you haven't seen the movies in question, you should probably go watch them before listening. That is if you care about spoilers.
Or you just like to live on the edge.
Yeah. So the two movies we've got today are two very happy love stories. The first one is about a man who loves disco music, and the second one is about a couple who are very much in love, and they go on a bit of a pleasant holiday to a cabin in the woods where they rekindle their love together, and it has a nice happy ending.
If movies have taught me anything, there's no happy couples trips to the cabin in the woods.
Except for these films. I mean, they are very, very happy. I mean, both of these movies are perfect examples of films to show your children, to teach them about birds and the bees. Especially Discopathe, which the act of courting is very, very important, and I think it's a lost art these days.
It had a great dance number in the basement halfway through. That was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, dancing with your girl is a really important thing to do.
Or parts of your girl.
Yeah.
Just little souvenirs.
So should we start with that one? Let's start with that.
I think so. I mean, it is the simpler of the two.
Yes. We'll start with the easy one, then we'll get to the more complex. So take it away. Tell us about this interesting movie.
Okay, so Discopathe is a 2013 horror film, a French-Canadian film in the...
Oh, garbage.
Yeah.
French-Canadians.
The giallo genre, or the French or French-Canadian fantastique genre, which is essentially erotic horror, essentially.
Georgia porn.
So there is a French-Canadian horror genre, is there?
Yes. Yeah, it tries very, very hard to mimic the 1960s, 70s, and 80s Italian giallo horror films, which were basically crime dramas, or rather slasher films in crime drama form. And it just takes that retro style and rolls with it. 2013 film, it actually looks and feels like it was shot in the 70s.
Yeah, most definitely had that 70s feel about it.
Yeah, even down to the vehicles. Even the vehicles far in the background, all vehicles properly set to their time.
Not random vehicles in an apocalypse that shouldn't be there.
That's right. No, it's about a young man, a very
well-adjusted
nice young man. Yeah, well-adjusted, polite young man named Dwayne Lewis, who lives in New York. And he loves disco music. In fact, he loves it so much, whenever he hears it, he needs to kill for more.
Who doesn't, though? Who doesn't?
Yeah, disco needs to come back.
Oh, disco never dies.
Come on, who hasn't heard a disco track before and wanted to kill someone?
Yeah.
I think we can all
cut him a little slack.
Well, especially the one that plays over and over and over and over in this movie.
I'm gonna put that as my ringtone.
So it starts out with him working as a cook in a
little diner. Little New York
diner.
Yeah,
just a little hole-in-the-wall diner in New York.
And he sets everything on fire.
Someone comes in with a boombox, and we get the first glimpse of him not being too well adjusted.
Yeah, he's already screwing up the line. Everybody's order is either being completely missed or screwed up, and his boss is getting fed up. And these three fellas come in with a boombox, playing the music of the time, which is probably around, I think it was set in 1975. 1976. And yeah, he basically screws up the order of hamburger steak, which was very, very important, apparently.
Oh, everything was on fire.
Yes, the entire restaurant is on fire. He loses it and gets fired.
And he's very upset. And you know, as a young man, what do you do when you're upset? You go to the local roller park.
Yes, where he meets a young woman on roller skates who takes a liking to him for some reason.
Immediately.
Well, I mean, she has a date for the evening, so what do you got?
Well, I'm stuck here. I'm not at the local roller park, so you know that happens later this evening.
If only any of us could get a date like Dwayne.
Hey, I'm a ginger.
Dwayne's a ginger?
Yeah, definitely.
The 70s were the time. Apparently, you could just rock up to any roller park and immediately have some chick crack onto you.
Oh yeah. Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
No, wait. Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
Yeah, that were great accents.
Oh, God, that's just the way she talks, that actress.
That actually is just the way she talks.
Really? I thought she put it on. No. It sounded fake. I hope
there was
apparently not.
Interview years ago in 2013 in Rue Morgue magazine that I was reading where they were casting for just the lead girls after they had cast Dwayne and the police officers. And the director, he wanted somebody who could put on that Brooklyn accent, because you know the first 20 minutes of the film is based in New York. And this girl comes in. I can't even remember the character's name in the film.
Roller whore.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say roller slut, but I was close. Close enough. Anyway.
Hey, I think he bought her a drink, so.
Well, maybe they went for a beer.
Okay, wait. No,
anyway, she comes in.
Well, she did get penetrated that night, just not with a penis.
Essentially, she comes in with that accent and basically gives him shit in that accent. This is just how I talk. What do you want? And just there was actually quite the long interview with her.
Hold on. Did you just channel Woody Allen?
I might have. I sure hope not.
Oh, that's gonna be a possession from hell.
That wouldn't be the first time I've channeled Woody Allen. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Oh,
I was at gunpoint.
Years of therapy ruined. Are we gonna call her roller whore for the rest of this? Because I would like to.
She's not in it for very long, but anyway.
No, she's not. And she seems pretty nice too. I mean.
Oh, she's very friendly.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, lovely young lady.
Yeah.
Great scruples.
Well, it was the 70s, so you know.
Yeah, but it wasn't the 60s. That was the swinging 60s, right?
Oh, I think the 70s were pretty swinging too.
I thought they were back under the patriarchal foot by then.
No, haven't you ever seen any horror movies set in the 70s? All the teenagers are always screwing and getting stabbed. That's the rule.
It's a lot of boobs.
Yeah, and then they get killed. Because
unshaven pussy.
Well, we didn't see any unshaven pussy in this, unfortunately.
No.
So, yeah.
Wait, no, did we? I think we might have.
Did we?
I think so. It's way later, but I think so.
Well, we didn't see Roller Girls.
No, we didn't see Roller Horse. Roller Horse Beaver.
No, for a movie that's imitating 1970s Italian giallo films, it's not nearly sleazy enough.
Not enough bush.
Well, not enough anything, really.
So she talks him into going to the disco.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, probably a mistake on her part.
Well, the power of Dick is strong. He tries to resist, but She's got convincing assets.
The power of dick is strong. It makes it sound like Roller Slut has a dick.
She did have a couple of impressive assets, but anyway. Convincing assets.
About her eyes, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of it?
I don't know. Pig?
No, I don't think she had any pigs. She wasn't a farmer. What movie?
You know, she had pigs in that apartment.
Anyway, I think we're slightly going off topic.
I haven't even had alcohol. I'm sorry.
So she convinces him to go to the disco, which is a little bit of a mistake.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, she Dwayne slightly creeps her out once or twice in her apartment, but he just seems like an intense guy, so I'm sure she thinks nothing of it.
It's her friends he really creeps out. They're the ones.
A little awkward. He's just a little weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
He's so weird. So they get to the disco. Not after she gives him her father's suit, which is really bizarre.
Yeah, I found that a little bit odd. You'd look good in it. Your father's suit is...
She was going to be calling him daddy later.
Yeah, well, that kind of killed the conversation.
Everybody's dick fell off. They had so the roller disco. It's not a roller disco, but it has a cool elevated dance floor. It's about what did you say? 2 feet, full of lights.
Essentially,
it's hollow.
You see all the wiring and all the LED lights underneath.
But it all lights up. It's very cool.
They're dancing on a disco ball, essentially.
Oh yeah, and the music. Oh, the music. Oh, the music.
The music, Bane. Too bad it wasn't ABBA.
That's how you get him to go on a murder spree.
Do your eyes turn black and you basically turn on your new girlfriend like Dwayne did?
Well, the thing is, at the end of the movie, we have a kiss track, which was stuck in my head for a week afterwards.
Yeah.
It was perfectly used at that point. We'll get to that a bit later, obviously. But the bloody thing was stuck in my head for a week afterwards.
Oh, well, he drags her off the dance floor, and she's thinking she's going to get a little dicking in the stairwell.
Yes, that didn't do well, did it?
Well, she got a little something, but it wasn't what she wanted.
Yeah, so she gets stabbed in the arm, and then
what did he stab her with?
That very real-looking arm.
He stabbed her with an arm.
I wish that would have been great.
No, it was a knife, a little knife.
Oh, he brought a pocket knife this time. Mm-hmm. But she
he's disco stabbing knife.
Oh yeah,
obviously.
Was it polar? If so, continuity error in the movie's part. Come on, everything must be disco themed. I'm gonna be disappointed.
Well, the ending track isn't. Well, I guess it kind of is, but.
So she tries to clamber away under the hollow dance floor, which makes for a very fun image of everybody dancing atop her dead body later.
Yeah, it was actually a really cool tonal shift in the movie.
Oh yeah.
It's got a really weird tone. It goes from fairly comedic without really wanting to be to completely jarring for 30 seconds at a time here and there.
So it's not meant to be taking the piss out of the genre?
It is and isn't. It actually is shot and has the same feel as very serious 70s giallo films. Which, like I said before, are basically crime dramas in slasher form. Generally with a lot of tits and bush.
We got little to no bush.
So it was taking the piss, but not nearly as much as you might think.
Okay.
He wanted us to take it a little bit seriously.
Yeah. Well, it succeeds here and there, especially with the effects, which are actually quite nice for the budget. It's hard to find any info on the actual budget, but I have read a few times over the years that it was well under 100,000 Canadian. So
wow,
which is really, really impressive considering.
They blew all of it on the special effects.
And the roller skates.
And the roller and actually filming in New York for the first few scenes. Yes, they wasted a lot of money doing it. Well,
why?
I would say, inconvenient and unnecessary more than impressive.
Yeah. I was gonna say why they
an excuse to go to New York.
Yeah, I suppose the rest of the film. Anyway, he kills his new lady in a fit of blackout rage.
Because the music.
Incited by disco music, which sends him into a killing spree every time he hears it. Uncontrollable rage. And he wakes up the next day and has no idea what the hell he did until he finds her hand in his pocket.
And of course, that's happened once or twice to all of us, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. We've all severed a hand or two in our lifetimes.
Yeah, you wake up on a strange doorstep several hundred miles from home. You wipe the drool off your face. A couple of fingers in your pocket.
Billiard ball in the other one.
Yeah.
In the other pocket?
Yep.
That's not usually where I find it. I held on to that for a while.
The billiard ball.
Huh.
Well,
you gotta be careful with those. The cue ball is just a little bit bigger. So
he has the foresight to steal the club owner's ID.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
So I don't think he's quite blackout.
Maybe not. Well, yeah, as we'll find out later, he's maybe a little bit more lucid than we think right now when he's in his little trance.
Mm-hmm. Everything he does from this point on is pretty calculated. He steals his ID to get the fuck out of Dodge, buys a one-way ticket to Montreal. Mm-hmm. So we get to spend the rest of the movie in actual hell.
I apologize to any French Canadians residing in Montreal that may or may not be listening.
No, you don't.
I'm glad I don't live there.
We're all sorry that you do.
I happen to like disco music, and I'd like to listen to it here and there without fear.
And not die. Yes.
So he goes to work at a Catholic girls' school.
Of course he does. Of course he does. It is Quebec.
What, is there a lot of Catholic girls' schools there?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
So I have no idea about that part of the world.
That's where the bagged milk comes from.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
It was the French's fault. Just like most things.
So he goes to work at a Catholic girls' school, and unfortunately for him, when most of the students go home for the holidays or weekend or something,
I think it's just a weekend.
Yeah, there's a couple of girls staying there, and they decide to put on the latest French disco track, which, it sounded amazing, I have to say.
It's the best thing to have lesbian Catholic school girl sex to.
Yeah. I do all the time. That's the only way I have lesbian Catholic schoolgirl lesbian sex.
It is the track of choice.
Yeah,
your tuck game is strong.
We should mention that Dwayne has hearing aids basically cranked up all the way, so he can't hear anything or next to nothing.
Or he was hoping.
Yeah, he was.
There's still something getting through. Yes, he was feigning deafness. We kind of skipped over a bunch of characters too.
Oh yeah, we did the investigation.
The investigators. You know, the cop that's really obsessed with it. The New York cop.
the New York cop that is desperately trying his best to speak English and not let his French Canadian accent show through.
The lesbian teacher, can't forget her.
Yes.
This Catholic girls' school is full of lesbians.
Who would have thunk it?
It must be the only one.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Lesbians in Catholicism, never. Oh. And we got chubby, creepy. What would we call him? The priest of
Padre?
He the headmaster? I suppose.
The headmaster.
Headmaster, yeah.
Wow.
There's no girls there, or there's no guys there. So
not that.
Not that kind of headmaster.
I grew up Catholic. Oh, this is bringing. I don't want to go to Quebec.
Memories all alone in the moonlight.
So I'm trying to get to one of my favorite parts of the movie, which is where he. It's after he kills the two Catholic lesbian schoolgirls.
Yes, that's where we see Bush, by the way. Just a little, but
yeah, just a little bit. He mutilates them quite artfully.
Yes, with records.
Yes, of course.
He's cramming records into their torsos. He also decapitated them with records.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And took their heads because you gotta have a puppet show when you lose your fucking mind.
Oh yeah, we'll go to Sesame Street a little bit later.
Elmo, no.
Okay. Anyway, what was the scene you were thinking of? I've seen this movie so many times, I should know what you're talking about. But
he eventually captures the school teacher and
her other half. Her other half.
Well, they're both school teachers, aren't they?
Are they? I think no. I think the one of them isn't, and one of them is.
I thought they were both school teachers.
They might be. Doesn't matter.
I thought they worked at the same school.
Yes, they did, but her significant other, basically.
Yeah.
Her secret fuck buddy.
Her secret lesbian lover.
So he chains her up in the basement. Is it the basement of the school, or is it?
It is the basement of the school.
I thought it was. Yeah, and he dances with the severed heads while playing disco music, and I thought that was an amazing scene.
Oh, he's butt-ass naked.
He's butt-ass naked. It's a prolonged scene too. It's well over 2 minutes long.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of bloody man wang and severed heads. And also topless lesbian.
Yes.
Tied up with like tape. Not like A-track tape.
Like I said, this film is the perfect lesson on teaching your young male child how to correctly court a woman. Yeah,
dance naked with severed heads whilst gyrating to disco music, no less.
Well, it's creative, it's artistic.
Yeah,
it is.
He's
showing his emotions, so there's a lot there.
He's expressing himself.
He says wonderful things like I'll fucking kill you and so
Oh, say that again. It's so romantic.
The wonderful scene. That is at this point in the movie that same disco theme has probably played for 9 minutes total.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And we get to see a bit of his background, his history.
A little bit,
flashback. Just a little one.
Yeah.
The drum machine.
The drum machine and his overweight father, and he's a DJ or something. I don't.
He's solo making disco with a lot of electrical devices.
He's solo making disco in what I can only imagine to be, at least 1955. So he was definitely ahead of the times.
Yeah, I was thinking that because he was quite young in that flashback scene. So
yeah,
It would have been before disco started. So,
Well before.
That just proves that disco is satanic. And obviously, he was possessed by the devil. And
this is where disco came from?
Yep.
Logical.
Yeah. But anyway, the father's electrocuted while producing disco.
Yeah, with the drum machine just blaring in the background.
Yeah.
That would make anybody want to go on a murdering spree when they hear music, doesn't it?
Well, that's the scene where it definitely takes the piss on the entire genre. The ridiculous flashback where everything is explained and
the retard recap.
Yeah. But the reasoning behind it is so ridiculous.
Disco killed my daddy.
What? Yeah. Which is part of the charm. So.
¿Por qué, papi? ¿Por qué? Oh, wrong language. Sorry. Mexicans and French, not the same thing.
And of course, the seven heads was spinning around on the turntables at one point.
Of course. Of
course. Dude. Yeah, creating a lot of distress as to why the music was now garbled and slow.
Well, I think that was quite inconsiderate of him because they could have got quite dizzy. So
Yeah, well,
that's very rude.
Yeah,
especially for a first date.
Didn't get a second date with either of them. I mean, there was a lot of bloody man wang in that scene for me. Oh.
we got a lot of bloody man wang in the next movie as well. I think that's a connection between the two.
Oh God!
That's what ties them together.
Oh, that's how they're the same.
Literally bloody man wang.
Actual, just bloody man dick. That's how the two of them are similar. We're really selling these movies.
Yeah, I really don't want to think about bloody man wang right now. I mean, it just builds the tension up to the point where you could just cut it with scissors.
Oh, I hate you. I'm not gonna sit right for like the next 45 minutes,
Anyway,
way ahead of ourselves.
Horribly dubbed Police Detective 1 and 2 are continuing their search.
Great 70s wigs on that main detective. What a great wig.
Oh God, yeah, that's the best toupee I've ever seen. Come on, have you ever wanted hair like that?
I'm hoping my hair falls out just so I've got an excuse to get one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna send you a fucking blonde toupee. like a Fabio toupee. Seamless.
They track him down. I can't remember. I think he finds a newspaper clipping of the events
in New
going
York.
on. And
he hears about it, and then he goes, I gotta go there and catch this guy. I know it's him.
And for some reason, horribly dubbed Police Chief Number 2 inexplicably does not give a shit about a 5-year-old case.
No.
And doesn't care about closing the case at all.
No.
Well, there's probably a lot of disco murders in New York at the time. So.
Totally, yeah. It's not. They're not connected at all. It's like there's pictures of the same guy and his fingerprints that prove it's the same guy. But
that doesn't prove anything.
You're just a fucking obsessive asshole. You just go by yourself. Fuck you. So he flitters off to Montreal.
And can perfectly understand French.
Oh no, they're all speaking English for some reason.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
It actually goes back and forth quite a bit.
It's strange.
Yeah.
So now they're on the manhunt.
And unbeknownst, he's actually hiding in the basement.
Well,
which I also find strange why the police didn't search the entire building.
Yeah,
especially since they found Dwayne's hearing aid, and They didn't search the building at all for.
The lesbian teacher thinks that he was also murdered.
Yes, but why didn't they search the building?
That's probably dark and scary down there. I mean,
and there was screaming coming from down there too. So
could have been a ghost or anything.
Want to avoid that?
This is
terrifying. It's
so what's with the room in his where he lives? He's got like that special room with all the records, and
he feeds the beast. He sits in there and listens to it. Maybe he's self-medicating.
Well, that's what it seems like. Yeah, back at his apartment.
Trying to build up a tolerance to it, maybe.
Yeah. Pretty cool little room, actually. How that record is still playing days after the fact is also beyond me.
Magic.
Satan, I told you, it's Satan.
Well, Satan did make disco.
Yeah. Have either of you seen any Italian giallo films? Which giallo is like Italian or Spanish for yellow. It basically refers to Italian crime novels. Or
unless Suspiria counts, no.
Suspiria is giallo, yes.
Then yes, I have one.
That's one of the most famous examples. But
I'm not sure. I do remember my mother taking me to the movies when I was about, I think it was about 9 or 10, and she just picked something one Sunday.
They have movies back then, really?
Yeah, some, yeah. And she just picked a movie in the paper without knowing what it was. We went to the theater.
Yeah.
And I remember the one part of the movie I remember was a woman got killed and decapitated, and a guy put her head in a paper, like one of those paper bags that you used to get shopping in.
Okay.
He's in the lift and there's a hole in the paper bag. And I think there was a kid or the main character. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But he's in the lift and he looks at the paper bag, and through the hole he could see the woman's eye. And I think that's the point where I kind of screamed and my mother had to take me at the theater.
Yeah, I'm not sure what movie you're talking about, but that does actually sound like a scene from a giallo film.
And I've never been able to find the name of that movie because not that I have much information. I'd love to see it now. I'd probably laugh my head off at it. But
probably, yeah.
Yeah, at 9 or 10, it was a
little traumatic.
A little bit, yeah.
Other famous examples. There's Suspiria. Has the same kind of feel. That's the type of film that Discopathe is both celebrating and taking the piss on at the same time. Stage Fright, Anon. That's one you and I watched a couple years ago.
You'd have to refresh my memory.
That's one where they're putting on that stage play. Basically the killer is wearing the giant owl mask.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's a good example.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, characteristic of giallo films they're all Italian for the most part, except for the homages, and they're all poorly dubbed. They're usually acted first of all in really bad English by Italian actors.
The bad dubbing just makes it better.
Yeah, and then it's dubbed over generally by the same actors after the fact in a studio, trying really hard to not have an Italian accent. So it makes for a really, really surreal atmosphere. Other really famous ones are The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. The most famous director is Dario Argento, who is the man who directed Suspiria and opera Bay of Blood.
So I guess during the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there were a lot of, a lot of B-grade movies coming out of Italy. What have they done since? Are they still putting out B-grade movies? Or?
Pretty much, not anywhere near what they used to. The 60s, 70s, and 80s, the 70s in particular, were the heyday of Italian horror cinema.
Not only that, but the westerns as well. The spaghetti western.
The spaghetti western, absolutely. Yeah. Many of them starring Clint Eastwood and directed by Sergio Leone.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Those owe a debt to the giallo genre as well, just due to their kind of surreal atmosphere. There are even a few scenes in later movies, like what we talked about last episode, Once Upon a Time in America. Oh, excuse me. Scenes that Sergio Leone used, like the scene in front of the bridge, slow motion, where they're walking.
Yeah.
That's very reminiscent of just Italian filmmaking. That overly dramatic, beautiful slow motion, where they just linger. The camera pretty much makes love to whatever is in front of it for an extended period of time, and it's like just elegantly framed, and everything is just, they just take their time with everything. And there were a few scenes in Discopathe like that. Obviously, they weren't beautiful in that regard, but the scene in the basement with him dancing around with the severed heads, that was very
Bloody Man.
it was very well thought out and choreographed, though. It was
I can think of it as the camera making love to Bloody Man Wang.
Yeah, it was just over 2 minutes, and there were only 2 different camera angles, and that was all shot within the span of 5 minutes. Very little setup or teardown.
But I must have watched a ton of Italian B-grade movies as a kid.
Yeah,
like Bronx Warriors and things like that. Are they still? They're not making stuff like that anymore. What's happening with Italian cinema? When did it die, basically, or are we just unaware of it?
I think that we're largely unaware of it. I mean, I part of it's my own fault too. Personally, I just kind of stopped paying attention. I'm a fan of the 60s, 70s, and 80s stuff. Even the zombie films, which are just called the zombie series, which are really quite good for B-grade movies.
So was it the drive-ins and maybe the video stores which supported it, I guess, in the West?
More or less. I mean, in the 80s, it was definitely just VHS and just the rental market. I think it was like that pretty much all over the world. But then people just started to find out about it more and more throughout the late 80s, the 90s, and especially the 2000s, when a lot of these movies started to resurface on DVD for the first time.
But the older ones, there haven't really been any classics since the 80s, has there? Italian classics?
There kind of has, like in that same, like Italian classics. No, not that I can think of. I'm sure there has been some, but there has been classics in that same type of filmmaking style. This is going to sound weird, but Lords of Salem, actually, Rob Zombie's 2012 movie, is actually a modern giallo movie.
Have you seen Cemetery Man?
Yes.
What a classic that is. I'm sure I'll do a review of that on this show at one point.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun to talk about. Actually, I haven't thought about that film in a while. Another new one. It's a French one, but it's essentially an Italian giallo film without being Italian. Is called The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears.
Oh, that sounds pleasant.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a comedy in a way. It's just there isn't really too much to it. It's just about a guy coming home from a trip somewhere abroad. I think it's a business trip or something, and his wife is missing.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I think there's a note or something on the nightstand, and he just goes on this kind of investigation to try to find her. And he runs into all kinds of just ridiculous situations, not really similar to the situation in the basement of the Catholic school in Discopathe, but just as ridiculous. It's almost Lynchian in a way.
When we last left our heroes, she was strapped to a pole in a basement being serenaded by a naked man with severed heads. Disco music.
If Discopathe was Twin Peaks, yeah. Except that would be the series end.
Yeah.
Need a dwarf in there somewhere too, though.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking backwards. And then backwards again. And then backwards again.
On a stripper pole.
Is there going to be another season of Twin Peaks?
Fucking hope so.
Just recently in the last month or two, he has said it's kind of maybe sort of possible, maybe not really, but kind of sort of maybe. That's a whole other discussion. Personally, I think it's, well, I don't want to call it pointless because I think it would be really nice to see, but I think maybe not everything, but I think a lot of things were tied up really nicely at the end of the 2017 season. Maybe
in another 20 years.
Maybe. Yeah, when he's in his early 90s and
he's super gonna direct something then.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
Well, I mean, he directed Rabbits basically from a chair.
I refuse.
Oh.
I refuse.
It's so good.
No! Do you want to kill yourself? Go watch Rabbits. It'll drive you to actual suicide. The extended version, not the edited down version.
Mm-hmm.
I have a secret.
Anyway, we veered way off topic.
Yeah.
This is okay.
But no, bringing up David Lynch actually is relevant to the style of giallo film because it's that surreal, unexplainable, almost mythic quality that they have. Discopathe obviously isn't on that level. It's not even on the level of something like Suspiria, but I think it's definitely a worthwhile homage to that.
It's totally an art film. Bloody Man Wang always means art.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think of when I see Bloody Man Wang. Yeah.
Art. Yep.
Art, yeah.
Oh, and vice versa.
Wait, Bloody Man Wang sees you?
Yes.
Don't look directly at it.
So what happens? What happens next in the movie? What are we up to?
Manhunt. Manhunt is happening and chaos. It's just.
Oh yeah, they don't take long to find Dwayne.
Other lesbian goes downstairs because she hears the disco music after Dwayne has fled and left. Let's say black lesbian lady tied up to a pole.
Mm-hmm.
And he set a trap, hasn't he?
He has. Indeed, he has. And she gets down there, steps in it, gets electrocuted, and fucking dies. So that's fun.
Which takes us to the funeral.
Remember. Oh, the funeral. Okay.
Yeah. the body. Oh. Well, Black Lady lives. She gets into a. Actually, he gets away for a little bit there. He disappears for a while until the funeral. She's out of the hospital. Yeah. There's a funeral. Not a funeral march. What do you call it when there's cars?
Oh, before that though, what about the actual funeral?
What about the actual funeral? Is there something at the actual funeral? He's dressed up as a nun.
No, we get that right at the end. That's my other favorite part when he's dressed up as a nun
in the car. I thought he was dressed up as a nun at the funeral too.
I can't remember that bit.
I seem to recall.
No.
Everything's getting melded together in my head here.
Yeah, but that part in the car when he turns around, the nun turns around and his face.
Yeah.
That's quite beautiful.
It is. after he's ran the whole funeral proceeding off the road, and the body comes flying out of the fucking coffin.
And Toupee Cop gets killed when he crashes into the windscreen.
He goes through the field.
His face becomes part of the steering wheel.
Yes, they meld into one.
And then we have the chase scene.
Of course. With Fat Cop and New York Cop.
The ridiculous chase scene where the standard movie trope of trained police officers missing a moving target running straight ahead 10 feet in front of them.
Oh god, yeah. Less than that in a few places. They could reach out and touch him. It feels like Looney Tunes.
It kind of does.
I was thinking Benny Hill music when I was watching.
A little bit, yeah. Another scene in the film where they were essentially just taking the piss.
Oh yeah.
On
chasing
the entire
him.
genre.
3 feet away from him, shooting and missing. It's glorious.
So they chase him into a car park, high-rise car park, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah. 4 or 5 stories, something like that.
He gets all the way to the top because, of course, he does, with a cop shooting at his ankles the entire way. And then they kind of have this little moment at the top there.
Oh yeah, you can tell Dwayne wants to jump.
Oh yeah.
His eyes are no longer black for some reason.
Yeah, for whatever. His contacts fell out during the chase scene. And then he makes love to the pavement with his face.
He does after the horribly dubbed New York police officer tells him not to jump after trying to kill him very fervently from 3 feet away for several miles.
Oh no! New York Cop doesn't make it up there.
Yeah,
he's at the bottom. He gets a face full of brain meat.
That's right.
he gets to watch him die.
It was a great Italian movie from the 70s. Face full of brain meat. It does sound like an Italian big grade movie from the 70s.
That sounds like dinner at a Chinese food place.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then your what is it? Your favorite part of the movie is the ending, yeah?
Before that, where he turns around the car.
In the nun garb. Yeah,
I love that
with the quick zoom in.
Yeah,
but I do like the bit where he hits the pavement. But when the credits start rolling, we see him on a scaffolding thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, for some reason, he's still alive.
Yeah, we see a close up of
So it wasn't his body that hit the ground, or
no? It was. That's just that's
just like a flashback.
It's just a trope. It's like the ending credits to a TV show at that point.
Oh, where everybody's still alive.
So yeah, it would just
everybody's waving goodbye.
That would just think of that playing at the end of every episode of Discopathe, if it were,
Because I was thinking, what is it saying? He's still alive?
No, nothing. No thought required there. Just
damn, no Discopathe 2.
Yeah.
We need some Discopathe 2. Should contact the director and be like, "Hey, can you resurrect him? Can you Michael Myers the guy?"
This time we'll have him dancing with 3 severed heads.
Yeah, to a different disco track though.
And a dwarf.
Speaking of 70s horror movies and Michael Myers, I watched the original Halloween yesterday.
Oh no!
Oh no!
It's not a good movie, is it?
Oh, it's amazing. I love it.
Really?
I'm not the only one. Oh my god! I thought it was going to be the two of you ganging up on me about the giggling teenage girls for 2 hours, but no, it's not just me. I'm not an alien.
It remains to this day probably the single greatest example of quiet horror I can think of.
How can it be quiet if there's giggling teenage girls?
It doesn't really happen for the first hour, except we see Michael Myers in the background here and there.
And teenage girls.
It's about the voyeurism, the sexual undertone.
And I do understand it was limited because it's clearly very, very, very low budget.
It was very high budget for the time, 300,000. That was quite high for the time. Low would have been 50 to 100,000.
Really, it looks
yeah.
very low.
He could have gotten a lot more money for it, but basically said no to make the film he wanted to make.
The murdering should have happened much sooner.
Well, that would have missed the entire point of what he was trying to say.
That watching giggling teenage girls is entertaining.
You missed the point.
Oh no!
Way over your head.
I understand what he was going for, but it lost its potency after the first 30 minutes. I wanted to see.
He didn't explain any of it for the American retard audience.
I just wanted to see some murder, okay? Just a little murdering.
I think the bit where the young teenage girl gets stuck in the window was that was horrifying. I could barely watch it. It was so scary. And her little sister had to come and open the door for her. That was terrifying.
The phone call was the worst.
Yeah.
You remember the phone call? The breathing. I still have nightmares about it.
Well, there's no accounting for taste. It clearly was made for the lowest common denominator, or wasn't made for the lowest common denominator.
I resent that. I thought I was going to be all by myself, me versus you, and you two again, because apparently it's the greatest slasher film ever made. But no,
I disagree. Look, I have to give it credit for being influential, but
the second one was way better.
The thing about it is, if anybody goes into any film and they don't get what the director was trying to say, the opinion is lesser. It's just like if I go into any film what the director says it is what it is. So
yeah, if you say and still find it.
Well, it's not the thing. It's of course that's just it. But what I think you were looking for, or what a lot of people look for, is commentary. There was no commentary on anything in that film. It was all about the voyeurism. And at this point in filmmaking history, nothing like that has ever been made. And there's no other slasher film in existence that has actually held my attention like Halloween has.
I just wanted a little more murder a little sooner. The second one was much better.
Or a little bit more suspense. And the acting wasn't great either, you have to admit.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were all teenagers doing their first acting years, right?
Oh, not all of them. Donald Pleasance was
No, the main Donald Pleasance, yeah. Donald Pleasance was a driving force in that film, at least with his ridiculous over-exaggeration that he's always had in all of his performances, which is just awesome.
We're going to have to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Halloween.
I told him I thought for sure I was going to be the odd man out not enjoying it, because I've watched it 3-4 times to try to I want to understand and enjoy it, but there's too much teenage girl giggling for me before there's murder. By the time the murder comes, I'm bored.
Yeah, it wasn't made for the Michael Bay audience.
Hey, I don't want an explosion. I don't want to boom. I want to stab.
I think we've been spoilt with movies inspired by it since, which have gone a lot further. So, maybe...
Yeah, for the most part, they've gone in the completely wrong direction every time. Like Rob Zombie's remake. Oh my God, he completely missed the point about Michael Myers. The whole point of Michael Myers is that there is no reason why he snapped.
Yeah, that I do like that.
There is no underlying cause. He is the absence of character. The reason is irrelevant. In fact, there probably isn't even a reason.
No, he just snapped one day.
But because the reason cheapens it. The reason makes it mundane and
So you're not going to watch Michael versus Freddy versus Jason?
Oh, that sounds like fun. But if that film was made, they would know that they were missing the point.
Versus Alien versus Predator?
Oh, come on. Them versus everybody.
I love those comic books. Don't even get me started on
Alien. Oh wait, did you hear about? Wait, did you hear about the Predator that's coming out now?
Michael versus Freddy versus Jason versus Alien versus Predator.
Oh, also awesome.
It's coming in 2025.
No, seriously, have you heard about the new Predator that's coming out?
Is out.
Is out.
Yeah. I've heard some very, very bad reviews.
The Autism Hunter's actually out. I thought it was coming out. Oh no.
Yeah, I've heard some shocking reviews of it.
Yeah, I think it was just released like a day or two ago. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh god. So we finished Discopathe.
Yep.
Should we move on to my favorite movie ever?
Tough one. It's actually it's always been a hard movie for me to actually talk about. It's an easier film for me to write about. The way we've made it sound is it just sounds, well, it is ridiculous, but
it's super fun.
It is a lot of fun, and it's really striking in that it actually truly does look and feel like it was shot in the 70s. And that's pretty awesome. You would assume that that's a really easy effect to get, but many have tried, and in my mind, most, if not all, have failed, except for that recent movie, Discopathe. So,
and I do like that 70s feel, from 70s movies. I think they obviously weren't going for a 70s feel at the time. They were just doing what they could with their budget and limitations for the time and things like that. But it's interesting that a lot of people try to emulate it these days. I guess going back to something more simplistic in a way.
Well, it is nostalgia, but you think about films in the 60s and 70s did the same thing with films from the 30s and 40s. And in the 90s, it was 60s, and the film industry has always done that, and will continue to. In 20 years from now, the film industry and independent filmmakers will be mimicking films from the late 90s and the early 2000s as nostalgic. Absolutely.
I can't wait for the Transformers movies to.
Okay, can we be dead by then, please? Can they let us die first?
No,
Michael Bay's gonna die before that,
remember
right?
When movies were great, like
remember
Transformers and Paranormal Activity.
I remember.
Yeah, I don't particularly like those films myself, but a lot of people.
So nice.
A lot of people said the same thing about The Thing, as an example. People hated The Thing when it came out.
It's awesome, and they're wrong.
Well, explain that to an audience for 20 years after the movie.
I will. I will hit them with the puppets.
Most people thought it was, if not awful, just uninspired and just trashy. Even horror fans.
Yeah, I think it was ahead of its time. That was the problem.
Yeah.
That actually is my favorite movie of all time.
My issue with movies like the Transformers, well, one of the issues, is there's just too much going on during the fight scenes. It's just
you don't like the little Wigger robots? Come on.
Oh well, there's a lot to criticize about the Transformers movies. Not just that, but the fight scenes are just so full of shit. It's just overload,
Yeah,
you need more of that.
It's funny every time I bring up filmmaking from like the late 90s to the early 2000s to now, people always bring up Transformers and stuff like that, but they fail to mention all of the absolutely wonderful films that have come out in the last 20 years, which is really, really strange to me.
Don't you know that horror is dead? Film is dead.
Whoa, yeah,
dead.
The horror genre is dead is about the most baseless bullshit opinion to come out of somebody's mouth about modern filmmaking now. It's unreal.
They have no idea where to look.
The horror genre is the most alive it's been in its entire history.
Do you think it's maybe devolved into jump scares in a lot of cases?
No, absolutely not. It is, again, as I've said, it is more alive and more varied than it has ever been at any point in the last 120 years.
Because I heard watch Hollywood thrillers, maybe.
Well, I heard a review of The Nun, and they basically said there's so many jump scares in it that they lose their effect because you know they're coming every 30 seconds.
Fair enough, Bane, but The Nun is but one of literally hundreds of horror films released in the last 24 months alone.
Yeah, I agree. But
and I'll say,
like Paranormal Activity.
Well,
Paranormal Activity is hilarious.
Paranormal Activity made on a shoestring budget.
Come on, honey, let's stay in the house after you get like assaulted by.
Paranormal Activity got lucky.
Oh yeah. I don't doubt that, but it's a big money maker.
Yeah, it got lucky. Yeah, it just happened to turn out that way.
What are we up to now? Number 15 or something?
Yeah, something like that. Whatever year we're in, 2018.
They gotta end it at 6, or I'm gonna be disappointed.
No. They're gonna have Transformers versus Paranormal Activity.
Possessed Transformer.
Yeah.
It'll be Optimus Prime in his home, and as a ghost in his home, and
terrorizing his wife.
Yeah.
so they stay to film it.
His wife's like a normal human.
Then... Ouch! Oh!
We have to have diverse relationships.
So she's paraplegic and Muslim.
Yes, and into giant robots to finish.
That just sounds really painful. Well, if she's paralyzed from the waist down, everything's fine.
We don't know how big his wang is. He could have, he could be overcompensating with the whole transformation.
I mean, I've seen the tailpipes, okay? We've all seen the tailpipes.
I don't think that's his wang, though, is it?
Are you sure?
Well, I think they'd censor it if it was.
Are you sure?
Are you saying they've snuck in a Transformer wang?
Oh, there's so much Transformer wang. Bloody wang everywhere.
Bloody wang.
We have to get into the other bloody wang.
Oh, we will.
It's like an ancient movie, doesn't it?
Yeah. This sounds like Jackie Chan's first film, just uncovered. Yeah. No, I think I'm glad that independent film has become more mainstream, and I know that sounds really bad, but just to touch on your comment about jump scares, a lot of people, I think they mistakenly look back on like the old horror films from the 20s, 30s, and 40s as like super superior films, and they were good, and they're still good today, but they relied almost entirely on the jump scare. Not atmosphere. The jump scare isn't a new thing. It's not some new horrible thing that has overtaken horror filmmaking.
Oh no, I understand that, but you do have to admit in some cases it's overused and overdone.
Absolutely, but when it comes right down to it, I would say that's probably less than 1% of horror films that are coming out that have come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah, but most horror movies don't go mainstream, do they?
Well, no, most of them are independent, thankfully, because if they weren't, we would have
we'd have all the jump scares.
It would be the retard recap constantly, not just jump scares. There's a place for jumps. There's a place for jump scares. The retard recap can burn forever in a pit of torture. The retard recap is what has and is destroying mainstream horror film, which is explaining everything for people.
And everything has to have an explanation.
Yes, for the audience that is so frightened of their own self that they can't go, wow, I didn't understand that, and simply not understand that and move on. Yeah. Oh, I didn't understand that. Well, just accept that and move on, or dig a little deeper and try to understand.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of mystery.
Yeah, mystery's nice. Leaves you something to chew over.
Yeah. The personal inability to accept that you don't understand, like the royal you doesn't understand something, is I think what destroys films before they even get a chance to become mainstream. And I think a lot of really wonderful films have stayed out of the public eye for that reason. Well, this doesn't explain enough, so the audience won't like it. So,
and I'm guessing our next movie probably falls into that category.
Yeah.
Partially, yeah. That's.
I have the chapters for it pulled up, and I love that in the related is Eraserhead.
Oh, for Antichrist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess in the kind of film snobby kind of way, that would be, yeah.
Yes, it's in the same vein because it's all black and white.
Well, I guess we should move on to Antichrist, and I gotta say, my favorite part of the entire movie was the first 5 minutes. It was pure art.
You just love Willem Dafoe's dick.
It was. He's a strange-looking man, isn't he?
He really is. With a deceivingly large dick.
I'm pretty sure that was a stunt cock.
No, it was not.
There are different sources regarding that.
Is there? Oh, maybe it is then.
Yeah, but you are right though. I mean, I say you are right that it's a matter of perception. But yeah, the opening 5 minutes were really striking.
Well, I guess.
Oh my god, horribly depressing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know which was the most depressing part of the movie, to be honest, but
probably that.
Well, from a male perspective, I think there was a part later on.
Oh, you fucking misogynist! Oh.
But
it was a male baby that died. Jesus.
It was Jesus.
Yes, obviously. Didn't you get the symbolism?
Oh, that's why it's called Antichrist.
Yeah.
All right, we're done here. Episode over. Move along.
I just solved the puzzle.
Everything's explained.
Exactly.
No mystery anymore.
Now I ruined everything.
Yeah.
Do it all the time.
I guess we should describe the first 5 minutes. It was in black and white and shot entirely in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
It's porn.
Yeah, it does have a porn aspect to it.
It's porn. It's straight up porn, but it's beautiful and very sad.
So we'll get back to the porn bit, but I guess we should describe it visually because I just found it stunning. Yeah,
it's quite beautiful.
The snow falling in slow motion outside. The high contrast.
Yeah,
the high contrast between the black and white. I love black and white photography as well as movies because of the high contrast you can get. It simplifies things. It brings out the essence.
In a lot of ways, it brings out more detail. You notice more.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I don't know if I'm describing it right, but even like a black and white picture, it's almost okay. I don't know how to describe it in my head.
Layered.
Well, it brings out the essence by breaking it down into basics. Yeah, the contrast between light and dark. It really. I
look at a black and white picture from the outside in. Normally, I've noticed this years and years ago, even when I was a kid, and like a color picture or a painting from the inside or the center out. I know that might sound silly, but I can't really go any further than that. It just, I still to this day I like black and white film more than color film, just in general. Sometimes I even rewatch movies, especially older horror films. I actually just turn the color down on the TV or the computer monitor and watch it that way. Even though
you force snob it.
Well, a little bit, but I don't know. It's easier for me to watch. I find it more enjoyable. It holds my attention.
I used to hate black and white films until recently, and now I'm the one picking out all the black and whites.
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on how it's used, and it's used very effective in this movie. Well, the first 5 minutes at least.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Antichrist is broken into chapters too, so what we're talking about is the prologue.
Yeah, and I would have been happy if the whole movie was in black and white, although I think it would have maybe robbed that first 5 minutes of its uniqueness.
I think it could have potentially robbed it of the punch it has.
Yeah,
the gut punch.
The kid falling in slow motion too.
Yeah,
with the music and
it's kind of beautiful but horrifying at the same.
It is like you have a reaction, like almost a body reaction of, oh my god, I gotta catch you, like.
Yeah, the movie opens with a couple having sex in the shower. We know this couple only as he and she. They actually don't have names. They're never named throughout the film at all.
No.
No, that's something that a lot of people don't actually notice. I guess it's not relevant. And their son, we watch at the same time their son crawl up on a dresser, and I think he's reaching, or he drops his stuffed animal and falls out an open window. It looks like it's 3 or 4 stories up in an apartment building.
And slowly falls towards the pavement below as the snow very, very slowly falls around him.
Yeah.
We get a pan of her face watching him take that step out the window.
It looks like she's watching him.
Yeah.
She may or may not be.
We're led to believe in a way that she's seeing it.
Well, based on what happens later on, I think it's pretty clear that
she was.
Most likely did see him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that comes much later, with many ulterior motives throughout the film.
Well, then we get into chapter 1.
Well, I was going to say the sex scene was pretty.
It's porn.
Yeah.
There's no cutaway. You see full frontal, everything.
So how do you think the director or the casting agent approaches the actors for something like that?
Fuck artfully.
Well,
so how do you feel like being penetrated for a movie?
Well, Charlotte Gainsborough, the actress, she worked with Lars von Trier, the director, who's a Danish man. She's worked with him a few times in the past and after that film, and she has no problem with nudity or sex, or basically.
Are we talking about on camera or off camera?
Well, maybe off camera too, but certainly on camera.
I'm just curious what conversation you have with your actors. Well, I've got this amazing movie. I think you'll be perfect for it, William. Will, how do you feel about fucking though?
On camera, of course.
On camera, actual penetration.
We need a stunt cock.
And how's your wife feel about it?
Oh, fine. It's okay. It's all good. It's art fucking, right?
Yeah.
You tell her it's art? Okay, that's fine then.
Willem Dafoe apparently was all over it. He basically took the job without reading the script.
Wow. He found out about the penetration after he signed the contract and went, "Oh fuck."
Well, maybe that's why he signed it without reading.
He read the prologue and he was like, "Down."
Got this amazing movie for you. You get to fuck someone.
He finds out about the fucking 2x4 later.
Oh, I'm in.
And then the 2x4 comes and he goes, "I'm out."
You're jumping ahead.
I know.
Yes, way ahead.
There's spoilers. It's fine.
There you go.
So basically, there's a couple having sex, and their young child falls to his death from an open window. It's all very artistic and very beautiful and very sad.
Yeah.
And pornographic.
And then the movie goes downhill.
Oh god, yeah.
It never stops.
It dissolves into chaos.
That was the happiest part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
at least we got to see a little dick.
So after this terrible event, the film moves on. and she collapses as he is weeping for his son, as men are carrying the coffin through the graveyard, I assume. And then we find out that he is he's a psychologist, is he not? Or like a full-on psychologist, or
Yes.
And he is going to try to, against his better judgment and her protests, basically put her through therapy himself.
Yes.
Through the grieving process, because
he doesn't agree with her doctor, who's just doped her up to the point of
she
doesn't know where she is, what day it is anymore.
She wants to do is fuck as well. That's her therapy, though. All she wants to do is fuck him.
Yeah. She's basically essentially emotionless. She hurts herself. There's at least 6 bottles of pills on her nightstand, and he again, against his better judgment and her protests, he decides to go it alone. And he's more than a little overbearing at first, but we'll find out how significant that is later on in the film.
Oh, she bites him quite hard. At the very beginning there, in the first chapter.
That's right, yeah.
They're being playful, and it catches him way off guard. I'm guessing she's never really done it before.
Yeah, I think it bit his nipple really, really hard. And he was taken aback by this. I guess that's just not the way they do things.
And
he's not into it.
She's all emotion, and he's trying to be all logic, basically.
Yeah.
So they come up with the great idea of going away to a cabin in the woods because, that always works out well in movies.
Nothing bad has
nothing bad ever happened.
Nothing bad has ever happened in a cabin in the woods.
Ever.
I think anyone who sells cabins in the wood would be very disappointed with Hollywood.
Bad for business.
Yeah, I mean, didn't some cattle ranchers sue Oprah because she said something about beef once?
I think so.
So where are all the cabin retailers
suing Hollywood?
Suing Hollywood.
They've all committed suicide because they lost their life's work,
or being possessed by demons, one or the other. So
yeah,
they are the demons. Oh, they should be the prime suspect in every murder that's ever happened in a cabin.
Hollywood does not want you to go into the woods and into a cabin.
No.
Ever. It's all a plot, I tell you. They're trying to get you to buy real estate in cities.
Yeah. Oh, Hollywood.
So they go away to this cabin in the woods. And
she says she's the most afraid of it. Supposedly,
and it's called. They call it Eden, by the way. This is
yeah. And they he decides that immersion therapy is going to be her saving grace. He's going to immerse her in that fear and get her over it.
Yeah, she's terrified of nature for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she had previously stayed at the cabin in the woods
by herself. Well, with their son.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And presumably by herself, maybe before they had their son. That's not really touched on. It's just something I assumed.
Yeah, because she was writing a paper on the treatment of witches or women in medieval times or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Gynocide.
Her
gynocide thesis.
Yeah.
Gynocide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Japanese anime series or something.
I'm the Pussy Slayer.
Complete with horrible J-pop intro. Gotta
run fast.
they've got the commercial breaks with they just scream the name of the show in between commercial breaks, you know. But it's just like Gynocidal.
How did you do that?
Well,
did you sit on your balls to create that sound?
I just squeezed them really, really hard.
Which is Gynocidal.
This film is negatively rubbed off on me. I'm really
too soon. Too soon.
I made a pun. Oh my.
Before they after they're in the cabin for a little bit, he sees the fox disemboweling itself.
That's pretty far in, actually.
Yeah, isn't it the deer first? The deer with
it is the deer, yeah. And this is after a few attempts at getting her to face her fears. She's afraid of the front lawn.
Yeah.
And for anybody watching, it's not like a well manicured lawn. It's
more of a meadow.
It's more of a meadow, and it's on a fairly sharp incline going down from the front of the cabin. And the grass is a good 2 feet, well, maybe not that long, maybe 6 inches to a foot long at this point. And he gets her or she to go from one rock to the other. And either before this or after this, lay down in the grass, close her eyes, and envision herself walking on the grass and becoming part of this place.
That was on the bus there.
Was it?
On their way there. Yes. Yeah. He gets her to close her eyes and envision herself melding into the green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Covered in spiders.
Shut up. This movie's bad enough you don't have to add spiders to it.
Covered in spiders, malaria carrying mosquitoes everywhere.
Hey, you're in this house, I will throw shit at you.
Tick's giving you Lyme disease. I mean, you know.
You're gonna hear me whip shit down the stairs at him.
I won't kill those spiders for you later.
Oh.
So yeah, and then he sees the deer, which
yeah, on their way there. Yes, you guys are right. He does see the deer first. This is before they even get to the cabin.
Well, we should explain the deer because the deer isn't by itself, really, is it?
No.
A little friend.
He's got a dangler.
Yeah, he's got a dangler. Yeah, she's
the deer.
Did
you just assume gender?
Yeah, this giant buck has given birth to a dead calf.
No, it's mid birth.
Yeah, mid birth. No, the child is dead.
Yeah, do we know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, very dead.
Oh.
And we see it again later on, don't we?
Yeah. It's still dangling.
Yeah.
You know what, actually.
It's known as the dead dangler. So.
This deer symbolizes something pretty significant that we'll get into a little bit later.
Patriarchy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all patriarchy.
Yeah.
I could give it symbolizes grief in the film, and
yes.
I'll explain why that is significant later, and why it symbolizes that.
And the other, I guess, symbol we see is the talking fox.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the acid dream fox. Another beautiful slow motion scene.
Hmm.
Where it's eating itself.
Yeah, this he comes across a. I'm not sure the events that brought him up to this point, but he's walking through, I guess, the woods in a small meadow, and he comes across this fox who is disemboweling himself.
And he says, "Chaos reigns."
Yes.
And he apparently represents pain.
Yeah. I have to admit that part of me, the first time I watched that film, I wanted so badly to find that silly, but personally, I just couldn't. It was there for a split second, and then it was gone.
It's really not in the context of the film.
Man.
It's really jarring.
Yeah,
actually.
Because the scene is very, very quiet and shot in slow motion.
There's no sound really.
You can hear just the wind blowing through the trees and cracking branches,
tearing flesh.
Yeah.
For a second, and then chaos reigns. I have goosebumps. It's quite unpleasant when you're watching it.
Speaking of unpleasant, what's with all the fucking acorns?
Yeah, the acorns falling at night on the roof. He's really taken aback by that. It wakes him up, and he's pretty freaked out. And she half wakes up and basically says, "It's just the acorns, dear," in a tone that says, "Calm the fuck down." And he's actually really kind of freaked out about it at first.
It'd be a little scary. They're really quite loud on the tin roof, especially.
But they only fall at night.
Acorns
that makes a whole lot of sense.
That's the new David Lynch movie, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a new Giallo movie, actually. There's Don't Torture a Duckling and Suspiria, and Acorns Only Fall at Night, which is inexplicably about a race car driver who finds a pair of black gloves that possess him. I don't know.
Great movies.
That's great.
Yeah.
We need to make that.
Yeah, I mean, there are no fucking acorns in it whatsoever.
I got like $50. Let's do this.
We just rolled a giant D20 that has the most pretentious film names on it. We just rolled it down a flight of stairs.
Yes.
We rolled it 3 times, and it was acorns, night, testicles, and we couldn't use testicles, so we just, Yeah,
it's been done to death.
Well, we kind of did. Testicles, drop, fall. Oh, got it. Perfect.
Close enough. It's all good.
Huh. Where were we?
that was a segue. Acorns falling on the tin roof. He's got a letter in his pocket. Should we talk about the letter in his pocket?
Why not?
Yeah.
Probably should. It's the autopsy report.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah, that's right. And she didn't know that there was an autopsy, or why there was an autopsy.
Yeah. And he didn't want to show it to her because she was already a goddamn basket case. So he hid it from her, but I think
she was doing pretty well.
Yeah, he put it in his pocket. Yeah, she's totally well adjusted. She's dealing with it.
At this point, she actually is doing quite well.
Like, for
compared to what?
For somebody who's slightly batshit insane at this point, she's not. You know what I mean? She's not
compared to where she goes.
is not completely unglued
compared to the rest of the movie.
Maybe. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that.
He reads the autopsy report to her, sort of, and then starts inquiring her about their son's shoes, because the autopsy discovered that he had...
Just to interrupt, what's that thumping noise?
It's what thumping noise?
Sorry, I could hear a thump.
It's your brain rattling around.
Oh, is that what it is? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was wondering what the hell it was.
Stop shaking your head.
I was thinking the same thing. I can hear it too. So.
Really?
Yeah, I can hear it again.
Just seeing if it's something I'm doing. I don't think so.
You still hear it?
Yeah, is someone tapping their mic or something?
No. I swear it's your brain rattling around.
That's probably it. Anyway, so the autopsy report.
All right, so it reveals that he has a slight abnormality in his feet, which was a pre-existing condition, had nothing to do with the death, so they just sort of wrote it off.
We've skipped, sorry to interrupt, but we've skipped
what did we skip?
A really, really important part of the film, when he goes up to the attic.
That's after this.
It is
just
not.
After this. Oh, I thought it was just after this.
It is before.
Oh, no, he finds one of the pictures up there. You're right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he finds her insane ramblings and writings on this
gynocide.
Gynocide thesis.
Say it properly.
Gynocide?
No, not you.
Gyrocide?
No. That manga style. Anime style.
Oh, wait, should I lift a house or should I be like genocidal?
That's it.
The soft G really sells it. People are gonna think I'm a fucking weeaboo. You know this, right?
Oh no, not with my picks for next time. You're fine. Don't worry.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm outing myself as the weeb. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes up to the attic, and it's like any crazy person's attic. It's full of pictures of torture and witches and women being tortured and
insane ramblings. The standard notebook that starts out completely calm and normal and devolves into giant, messy handwriting.
Toddler-like handwriting, and then completely illegible. And up there, he finds a picture of their son, and he sees that his shoes are on wrong.
Yeah, his little boots are on the wrong feet.
His little boots are on the wrong feet, and then we get to the nitty-gritty where they talk about the autopsy report, and he asks her if she realizes that she'd put his shoes on wrong. And she's a good little actress and goes, "Oh, that's strange. Oh, yeah. I didn't notice that."
And he's clearly disturbed by this, but not to the point where he's thinking, "Oh my God, this fucking monster." He's calm enough where you could kind of get the idea that he's thinking, "Wow, she's really, really fucking broken, and this is going to take a lot more."
I'm out of my depths here.
Yeah, essentially, and then he begins to walk away, and she screeches at him that he's going to leave her. "Are you going to leave me?" And that's when the film, it's essentially the climax of the movie at this point.
Yeah, it takes off again, because I love that first 5 minutes. I thought that was the best part of the entire movie. And I liked the final act, but the middle act, the second act, was a little bit slow. And I understand why it had to be that. But yeah, I think the start and the end bit are my favorite bits.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't doubt that. I understand that's the intention, the way it had to be. But that middle bit was a little bit slow. And I think a lot of people would probably be turned off by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah, it is a little slow, but it does pick up again. Don't you worry.
It is very, very slow, but I got to say, I actually didn't, even the first time I watched it, and the second and third as well, I was never bored, but I felt challenged.
Yeah, me too. I was never bored by it.
It's like it was defying me to dissect it until there was nothing left.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think this is a movie for the mainstream at all. And,
oh gosh, no,
absolutely not.
For many reasons, and I think the slow bit in that middle section would be one of them. I think a lot of
probably
people
bore a lot of people.
Yeah,
definitely. But yeah, no, that final confrontation happens in the shed for obvious reasons. It happens in the shed because he finds a whole bunch more pictures. Mm-hmm. And she catches him examining all these pictures of their son with his shoes on wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
it wasn't an accident.
He realizes it wasn't an accident. He knows it wasn't an accident, and she goes off. She loses her goddamn mind.
Just a little bit.
She goes, "Are you gonna fucking leave me?" Blah, and all this shit, and then everything's very sexual in this movie. So they start getting a little like violently randy, I guess.
Yeah.
And
well, she's reverted back to what she was at the beginning of the film in her first stage of grieving. Yeah, completely batshit, only more so.
Oh wait, did we skip over the tree?
Oh, the tree.
We did.
Oh, that's very important. Yeah,
when they
when he says this isn't right and we can't do this. Is that when or
yeah?
no,
she's trying. Well, yeah, she's trying to fuck him, and he's like, and she goes, hit me, because she's blaming herself for the shoes being put on wrong. This is after he finds the first picture. Right? She says, it's all my fault. I knew he was getting out of the crib. I knew he was walking. It's my fault. I want you to hit me. And he goes, no, I'm not going to hit you. She goes, well, then you don't love me. And she takes off into the night and starts vigorously masturbating at the base of a tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Come on, we've all done it.
A many-limbed tree.
A many-limbed tree.
We see as the camera pulls out. It's entwined with human legs and torsos. Yeah.
Many women's bodies.
Female bodies. Yeah.
And he comes out and finds her and then indulges in her and hits her, and they finish whatever the hell. And then it's the next day that she catches him in the shed with the other pictures.
Yeah.
Then she loses her goddamn mind. More so. more so. Does she hit him with something to get him on the ground, or does this just sort of happen in a wrestling, we're gonna have sex frenzy?
As far as I remember, my brain kind of goes to mush when I watch that entire scene, and has every time I've seen the movie. I should know these scenes better than I do, but unfortunately I don't. I believe, unless Bane remembers, I think they're just wrestling around.
Yeah, I think. Well, I do actually.
Not for fun, but
I do actually have an overall timeline in front of me, because some of this is hard to keep in.
It is.
So it's
I don't know why she would think that he would want to leave her, though. I mean, she's such a catch.
I mean, she's only been like mutilating their kid on purpose for him having any independence, because it's triggering to her. I mean, who wouldn't want to marry that? So, and she attacks him mid-coitus, apparently. It's your brain in your ears.
What?
What's going thump thump in the background? It's your brain in your ears.
I was about to ask the same thing. It's getting worse, actually.
Yeah. That's it. It's you. Anon.
What's that?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't even.
Stop it.
Don't look at me. I wasn't doing shit. I don't know why it's coming from my end. Never happens anywhere else. I blame you.
You told me to turn the mics up, so I did. So there you go. It's picking up your thump, 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 whatever you're doing.
I'm not thumping a thing. You guys are making shit up now. You're both stalling the inevitable dick crushing that's about to be. That's what it is.
That may be so, but the thumping has stopped, it seems.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
There, can you still hear me okay?
It's happening when you're talking, so...
Well, I just turned the gain down, so... Hopefully that takes care of the thump thump.
Are you moving around in your chair or something?
No! I'm not even typing, which I could see would make the thumpy, but no.
Okay. Well, it's when you're talking, there's like a...
Fucking men!
It's like... someone's...
Just can't handle a woman talking. God!
No, it's like someone's, tapping on their microphone or something, or rubbing it.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Is it? It's not still happening, is it?
We'll talk and we'll see.
Well, I was talking. Is it still happening?
No.
Not that time.
Oh, good. Okay, so
okay.
We can talk about how she crushes his fucking dick then.
The mystery of the thump thump has been solved, I think. But anyway.
Yes.
So anyways,
it'll be back in the unoriginal sequel.
Well, whilst he has a boner, she crushes his fucking genitals with a block of wood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which makes him pass out and traps all the blood in his dick. So it doesn't get soft.
That would make me pass out and trap all the blood in my dick, I'm sure.
I do hope that was a stunt cock.
Mm.
Yeah, me too.
No, I hope that was a stunt. the whole thing in general. Like, I don't want it to be a stunt double. I don't even want it to be a fake cock glued to Willem Dafoe, because that seems dangerous as well. I just want it to be a very, very, very convincing doll.
The wood block was not actually a wood block. It was just made out of styrofoam.
Oh, thank you.
And it was a very gentle tap. There was no there's no crushing. Are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Are your testicles descending? Yeah. We okay? Can we continue?
Yeah, we can go on.
I know,
because while he's while he's passed out, she masturbates him until he ejaculates blood all over her.
My favorite cat corpse.
So we should cover that again, because I think we were a bit distracted.
Yeah.
Humorous thing.
All right, in the tool shed, more photographs.
Yep.
Fucked up feet. She keeps putting his shoes on wrong.
And she gets paranoid that he's going to leave, so kind of forces sex on him, and then crushes his cock with a big piece of wood.
Yeah.
He passes out, and she masturbates him until blood comes out.
She then drills a hole through his calf and bolts a millstone to his fucking leg.
Yeah, above his Achilles tendon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the meat of his calf.
Yeah, and this millstone probably weighs 120 pounds or more. Probably more, but...
And then she runs off butt-ass naked. Or no, in a t-shirt. There's a lot of bush. There's a lot of bush in this one. And throws the wrench under the house. Under the cabin. Not under the shed. Under the cabin. Mm-hmm. He wakes up, discovers he's bolted to a millstone.
And that his cock is broken.
I don't think he could really feel his... I don't think he could feel that after considering the millstone bolted through the meat of his leg.
I wonder which one would be throbbing more. That's
I'm betting the millstone is probably the most immediately apparent thing to him. Because I'm sure he could still move with his dick a little broken.
I don't know.
It was hard. It was cushioned. It's fine. That's how cocks work, right? It's less sensitive when it's hard.
Blood's not supposed to come out when a chick masturbates you. That's all I'm saying.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
You look like red.
Pretty sure.
Have I been doing it wrong?
So you're telling me when they rub your jar, you don't spill a little?
Yeah, but that's not blood.
Who said it was blood? It was just red. Oh god! So he drags himself with this millstone, because batshit crazy lady's wandering around half naked in the forest by herself, and he drags himself a little ways when she then discovers that he's no longer in the cabin. And it's very foggy, which I think is his only saving grace, because she then starts shrieking, "Where are you?" I actually don't know how she made that sound.
Oh, her Charlotte Gainsborough shriek. Yeah, she does that in every movie she's in.
Yeah, somewhere. The shrieking is pretty impressive.
Yeah, impressive. That's a word for that.
Yeah, it's mortifying is what it really is.
Yeah, that's when he comes across the raven or the crow, I believe.
Yeah, he manages to drag himself into the foxhole. And since he's in there, he may as well just dig around, light some matches, have a look at his new house. You see some feathers sticking out of the dirt. No, why wouldn't you dig that up? Because, of course.
Well, symbolism and all that, I guess.
Yeah. So now this fucking crow, as soon as he unburies it, starts squawking, and she, of course, hears this and tries to triangulate on his location using this squawking. So he tries to beat it to death with a rock, and he does that over and over and over again, but it keeps surviving and keeps squawking. So, of course, she finds him and then tries to drag him out by the leg with the millstone in it. Yes,
it's all quite quite stressful, isn't it?
It's really gruesome, and oh my god, my leg aches just thinking about it.
Hmm.
Well, he ends up escaping from her in this situation.
But she tries to dig him out.
Well,
the hole to the foxhole is covered up by a large stone when he gets back in.
She's smacking the entrance with a shovel so the stone falls and covers it.
Yeah.
So she then climbs up to the top and starts smashing that with a shovel until the whole thing caves in on him.
Cut forward indeterminate amount of hours, probably a couple, and she seems to have
very sorry.
Yeah, she seems to have at least a little bit of remorse for what she's done.
She might need some cock again.
Yeah. So, well, yeah, she wants some of that bloody dick. So she digs her husband up,
and helps drag. Oh no, he goes, "Can you go get me the wrench?" Now she goes. No, she goes to the toolbox to look for it.
She tries to find it. Yeah, like legitimately tries to find it.
But she's thrown it under the fucking house.
She says she can't find it, which I really don't think she even fucking remembers at this point.
No, I don't think so either. I think
we the audience see her legitimately look for the wrench.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. She lost her damn mind.
Like the wrench.
Like the wrench, yes.
Yeah.
So she helps drag him back to the house. So now we're getting to my favorite part where I get to cringe and you fucking people can explain it to these guys because
Okay.
I don't like scissors anymore.
Okay, can you lead up to it? I actually don't remember their little conversation beforehand.
She's dragged him into the house. He's
I know what you're talking about now.
Oh god.
Yes.
They're having a conversation. She says, he goes, "Are you going to kill me now?" And she goes, "I can't yet because the three beggars aren't here," which would be the fox, the deer, and the crow.
Well, despair is the crow and or herself. That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah.
But the crow comes there. It's under the house. Crow, but this is after.
Yeah.
This is after the horror. So she's got some scissors.
She grabs some scissors from the toolbox.
And she's laying down beside him.
Let me put it this way. Have you ever thought, yeah, I think maybe I've got a little bit too much clitoris.
No.
I could do with a little bit less.
Oh, no.
just a little off the top.
Just a little off the top.
It's never crossed my mind, actually.
It hasn't crossed my mind either, strangely.
Oh my god.
But it clearly crossed hers.
Oh god.
She grabs a pair of scissors from her toolbox, and asks he or him for help.
Yeah, and so she's fucking his hand and he's semi-conscious.
Yeah. And she moves his hand aside and takes a deep breath, spreads herself, and proceeds to cut her clitoris off. Hood and all.
Oh, the scissors get stuck!
It's a very, very convincing scene.
There's no cutaways. You see it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets up. The fucking scissors are dangling.
Just curious, just to interrupt for a second. Has this movie been banned anywhere?
Oh, I imagine it must have been.
The uprising actually isn't nearly as big as you might think.
It didn't get popular enough, maybe.
Yeah.
No. Well, there's that, and the film. What's the word? The film festival crowd actually really liked it.
Oh, I see.
It was banned in France, of all places.
I mean, look, I don't have an issue with it, but I imagine a lot of people would.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things where a lot of women called it misogynistic. A lot of men called it misandrist. A lot of just Christian right-wing groups called it just satanic.
Filth. It's
just
filth.
Filth, right? But for the most part, not that many people had a problem with it at all. Even like the film boards that are notoriously tough on anything violent or sexually explicit, like the British Film Board, had no problem with the film at all early.
Well, it arted well enough.
Yeah, it's so artistic that it kind of got around that, or
well, yeah, the Christian right in England or whatever, they didn't find it harmful, I guess.
So that's how you get sex and violence into a movie. You just add a little bit of art at the start.
Black and white it a little bit.
Yeah,
make it pretentious. But it was banned in France. That's all I'm aware of. I'm not sure if it still is.
So I imagine she passes out for a little while there after cutting off her clitoris.
I believe so.
Well, yeah, because the crow starts going nuts under the house, and he pulls up the floorboards and finds the wrench.
Yes, yeah, he breaks the floorboards, yeah.
Yeah. So she notices that he has the wrench and is trying to free himself, and she goes into the "you're gonna fucking leave me" thing again.
And tries to kill him.
Yeah, furiously stabs him with the scissors.
Yeah, and he knocks her out, yeah.
He gets the thing off his leg. And then he shares a loving embrace with his wife.
By
strangling her to death.
Yeah. Against a wall, yeah.
There's something interesting. He burns her body on that pyre outside that's actually there at the beginning.
It is
when
there.
They get there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the witch pyre or whatever you would think. Yeah. Which is something I actually didn't notice personally until the third or fourth time I actually watched the movie.
Well, cookies for me.
Yeah.
I'm more pretentious than you. I get all the wait, what's a pretentious prize that I can have?
Well, you're not that pretentious. You didn't like Halloween, so.
I'm sorry, you have an affiliation for giggling teenage girls. I can't get on board with it.
Excuse me, you're not pretentious enough for the Pretension Club.
You know what? If you want to watch the teen drama, it's fine.
There were no giggling teenage girls in Halloween that cut their clitorises off, so it just wasn't arty enough for us.
It wasn't black and white for long enough anyway.
Yeah.
If it wasn't
la-di-da.
Yeah.
We needed like a backwards talking fox with a pair of scissors cutting off
and more fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking in slow-mo. Standing up. Like a champion.
That's Halloween 28.
Yeah. Halloween
28.
Yeah.
Well, he escapes. Good for him. Kills his wife. Attaboy.
You can't really blame him for doing that, considering.
Oh fuck! She broke his dick. I'd do it too.
So he puts a splint on his leg and begins the trek back to civilization. And we see him trying to survive. He stops and eats some blueberries or blackberries or something. And then probably the most puzzling part of the film, which is the ending. The ending begins.
People just come out of anywhere.
Women. Faceless women. All of their faces. I'm not sure if you noticed this. All of their faces are blurred out.
And the three beggars are also there.
The three beggars are watching him.
Mm-hmm.
The deer, the fox, and the crow.
The deer with the dangler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't forget the dangler. It's very important.
The buck with the baby.
Stop assuming your gender.
These faceless women in all kinds of clothing, clothing from the 16th century to modern clothing, start coming from everywhere, all around him.
Mm-hmm.
To the really awesome music score from the beginning of the film, and then the film essentially fades to black, and that's what we're left to ponder over.
So what does it all mean, apart from don't go into the woods with a crazy woman?
Well, The director hasn't really come clean with what it all really means. All he's really come forward and said is that he himself was very, very depressed, like clinically depressed and on medication while writing and filming this movie.
I wouldn't have guessed, really.
Yeah. And it's not an allegory for what people might think it is, misogyny or misandry.
It's sort of interesting how she deep dives into the gyno side and then starts actually believing that women are evil.
Yeah, she goes off on that shtick near the middle of the film where all women are inherently evil and nature is Satan, I think she says, or something like that.
Well, she says that something towards the end that a crying woman is a scheming woman, and that their sexuality is just evil, and they use it to control, and it's interesting because it feels heavily feminist up until then.
So she went MGTOW, is what you said.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It suggests
balls to the wall, red pill.
To go back to what we discussed at the beginning of the film, it's pretty explicitly stated through image that she watched Nick, their son, fall to his death.
Oh yeah. But she kind of somewhat admits to that.
She somewhat does, and she did nothing to stop it. And it's just from interviews I've read with him, it's not with the director. It's not through all her the extreme sexual promiscuity. She's not seeking pleasure. It's self-punishment.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically forcing herself to relive. It's going to sound silly, but she's forcing herself to relive that at the same moment. Time that moment. It was both fulfilling, or releasing for her. Maybe she didn't want this child to begin with. Who knows, right? And it's both fulfilling and painful at the same time. So basically, through an orgasm, she can relive this over and over again as punishment.
It makes the beginning of the film all the more just disturbing.
Yeah.
When you realize that she was watching.
Yeah, he never comes out and explicitly states this, but the film is more transparent than we think. That's all he's really stated on the the state of what people think of, it's a misogynist film, or he hates women, or he hates men, or it's none of those things. It's just not.
She just lost her fucking mind.
I mean, there's a little bit of societal commentary for sure, but so I guess some of those things are themes of the film, but it doesn't have an agenda. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, certainly misogyny and misandry and sex positive, all of these themes are part of the film, but it does not have an agenda. It's quite shallow when it comes down to it. The only things that aren't shallow about the movie are the symbolism.
The ending too is the ending.
The ending is pretty baffling.
So it's just like Lady Ghostbusters, is what you're saying.
Oh, exactly. It's just like
it's ruining everything. Gynocentrism.
Lady Ghostbusters.
You cannot call any of those women ladies. I've seen too much of their nakedness.
Well, maybe if one of them had have cut their clit off with a pair of scissors, it would have saved that movie.
Yeah, it would have been art then. You hear that, lady? Less dick jokes, more cutting your clit off.
All four of them had crossed all four of their streams and cut all four of their clits off at the same time.
Oh god, the image in my head. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The black one shown her. Well, she didn't willingly show her cunt online, but it's there.
I'll take your word for it.
Now I can't stop seeing her mutilating it.
Just to get back slightly on topic about the misogyny thing, some people took his stance on it to be the patriarch to her matriarch, basically, and that he was psychologically bullying her and all of this other. I mean, he was pretty cold in his methods.
He was trying to be her doctor and not just her husband, though.
Yeah, again, to his own, well, almost to his own death.
Do you think he survived the woods?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's really relevant or not.
I kind of think that those were poison berries, and he had a fucking way wicked head trip at the end there and died.
It could be as simple as that, but it could also, all the women could symbolize just the paintings in the attic, as an example. They're all dressed in different garb. There's old witches' clothing, and there's modern clothing. There's a couple women in business suits coming down, and they're all going in different directions. They're not coming at him. They're just walking. It's like they're walking. It's like they're walking on a really wide New York sidewalk, just every which way. Something
to people that would think it's in any way misandrist. He fights with her about that when he finds out that she throws away her thesis and decides that women are evil.
Yeah,
they have a little bit of an argument about it because he knows that women were treated pretty barbarically by, well, like during the witch hunts and whatnot in a lot of Europe.
Absolutely, it was.
He's not a very good misogynist.
No.
No, but maybe they think it's misogynistic because she, blames women for being evil or something. But
he mansplained it to her.
Yeah, but surely that's just one person's opinion.
Oh yeah.
You could say that the character is misogynistic, but that doesn't make the movie or the message misogyny.
Mm-hmm. No. Certainly the theme is there. Absolutely, that's it. Both of those themes, they're very prominent in the movie, obviously, but there's no agenda to be had. And I keep repeating that because I've heard that from quite a few people, just individually when speaking to them or writing back and forth about the movie, and it just drives me nuts because
they want something to be there that really isn't.
The agenda just isn't there.
Yeah, obviously not every female character represents every single female on the planet, nor does every male character.
That's not true.
Represent every male on the planet.
We all share one clitoris. We all felt that.
Well, I mean, come on, Bane. He spent the entire movie just mansplaining shit to her. It was awful.
Yeah, well, not the entire movie. I mean, he was passed out with a bleeding cock for part of it. So but I'm sure he deserved that, right?
He just kept mansplaining.
Oh yeah, he just mansplained until she couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And crushing his cock is the only way to stop mansplaining. Did you know that?
You don't encourage that.
Yeah.
It's true though. It's true though.
You'll become a soundbite on the internet.
Yeah.
If you want to stop the mansplaining, crush the cock.
Stop.
Be careful. They might pass that as a law in either your country or mine.
And then jack it off with both hands until it bleeds all over you.
Oh, God.
Hey, man, I have to live with that fucking Leslie Jones cutting off her clit in my head, so...
Did she cut off her clit?
No, but they've melded together and it's horrible. No more Bloody Wang movies for a little while.
Bloody Wang. They're my favorite type of Asian cinema. The Bloody Wang series.
Yeah.
Starring Jackie Chan.
Of course.
As Bloody Wang.
And his sidekick, gynocentrism.
Gyno man.
Gynocide!
I won't do it again.
No?
No.
It's alright, we've got a recording of it, so.
It's true. We can soundbite you all we need to.
Yeah, that's right. No, the director has been attacked for most of his movies.
So what other movies has he done?
He's done. Oh, see, now I'm drawing a blank. I was going to mention most of them. Nymphomaniac.
Oh yes, I've seen that. I've seen that,
yeah,
parts 1 and 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's starring Charlotte Gainsborough, the same woman from Antichrist. Trying to think of what his newest film's called. I haven't seen it yet, but it's been attacked and actually banned in a couple film festivals recently.
Okay.
For violence against women.
Somebody cut their clit off.
The House That Jack Built is his newest film.
I don't know it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Do you know what the claim of violence against women is based on?
A few scenes in the movie, literally just violence against women, like a woman getting horribly beaten and mutilated.
Context doesn't matter, though. So,
well, no, the film clearly has an agenda, right?
I'm glad that didn't happen in Discopathe.
Yeah. Oh no, that would have made it horrible.
Yeah, because that movie would have been banned then.
So wholesome.
Yeah.
It's a really wholesome film. Take your kids to see it.
It sounds like he enjoys ruffling feathers, or at least, if that's not his intent, that's what he does.
It's not his intent. He's a controversial guy, but he doesn't do this stuff on purpose. He just makes the films. He wants to make the films he wants to make. Melancholia is another film just after Antichrist, which is part 2 in his what he dubs his Depression trilogy.
Oh dear.
Excuse my silence for a minute. I just
I thought you cut out for a second. I was
no, sorry. I was thinking about what I was just going to say. I dropped it. It fell out of my brain and ran away.
Did somebody correct your face for mansplaining?
He's being called a Nazi.
Oh, of course
who hasn't these days? Seriously.
Yeah, he's something he said about Hitler was taken completely out of context, and they quote mined it. And by they, I mean just mainstream media, probably Vice or something.
Vice is such a reputable journalist.
Yeah, they butchered his quote basically to turn it on its ear, and so it makes it look like he said, "I sympathize with Hitler," and that I'm not against the Jews except for all of Israel or something, even though that's nothing of what he actually said.
Oh, he's totally a neo-Nazi.
He used sympathy and Hitler in the same paragraph, I guess.
Oh, and they just smashed it together.
Yeah, it's really disgusting, actually, how they quote mine that. Yeah.
Sad, really.
Well, it's typical these days, though, isn't it?
Just trying to think of what other films of his I have. Dogville. I'm not sure if you've seen Dogville.
No, I don't think I have.
Starring Nicole Kidman. It's about a woman who's hiding from mobsters. I don't want to give too much away, but
not until we do an episode on it, anyway.
Yeah, and she hides out in a small town, kind of like her own version of witness protection. And a couple of the residents of the town give her refuge if she works for them, like hard physical labor. It's a strange film.
Sounds interesting.
Are they all as artsy as Antichrist and Nymphomaniac?
They're not. No, I would say half of them are much more accessible than that.
Okay,
but they are all artsy to an extent. Yeah, more so than your average drama or horror film. But not to that extent. They're not so. You can actually get under the surface on your first viewing and really, without breaking your head and actually thinking about it.
I was going to say I love Antichrist for I love the reasons I've stated in this hangout. But what do you think the mainstream would think of it
now? Oh, they'd have a field day.
Got 100 average people off the street and got them to watch it. What would you think their impression would be?
Disgusting and boring.
And porn.
Yeah, I mean, the film, it's only 9 years old, so.
It would be like, at first it's porn, and then it's really depressing, and then it's really fucking gross.
Well, makes me sound like a bit of a snob, I guess, but I don't think a lot of people would even get through it.
They probably get too bored.
I would agree. I saw it when it came out about 9 years ago. Not at the movies, but
yeah,
I just grabbed it from the internet, not knowing anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had mixed feelings about it because it is quite depressing. And I don't mind dark movies, but it is a bit of a slog to get through. I think you have to be in the right mood to watch it, to be honest.
Oh, I think you do. I actually, to tell you the truth, I didn't like it the first time I watched it. I watched the entire thing. I wasn't bored. It made me feel like shit. You know?
Did it make your cock hurt a little?
Well, yeah, but it just, I mean, I love dark film. I love dark movies. I love challenging themes. I like films that challenge me. You know, like present me with things that I'm afraid of in everyday life or whatever. I like that atmosphere in a film, but Antichrist, I think, is it's
an acquired taste.
It's an acquired taste. I think on second viewing, I kind of forced myself to like it. And I know that sounds bad, like,
yep.
But
well,
I think I've seen it probably 6 or 7 times, all the way through. So I must like it to an extent, you know.
You like tormenting yourself once in a while. You're like, I want to torture myself with a movie.
And every time I watch it, I don't skip scenes because I have the Blu-ray. I had the DVD years ago, and something happened to that, and then Anon got me the Blu-ray for Christmas like 2 or 3 years ago, and I've never skipped scenes.
You've regretted it ever since.
Yeah, I've never skipped scenes though. I've never paused it so many times, and you know, gone or looked at my phone while I was watching it. I was always watching the movie. But I guess I could say now that yeah, even now after watching it so many times and talking about it this evening, I don't really like the movie. I don't know any other way to put that. I would suggest people watch it.
It makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think you have to be in the right mood to watch it.
If you want to feel bad, if you want a movie to make you feel bad.
Yeah.
You should know what you're going into, and you should be in the right mood. And
maybe don't watch it with your girlfriend.
Well, yeah, it might not be a good first date movie, unlike Discopathe, which
especially
Discopathe is filled with wonderful foreplay and ideas.
Highly recommended.
Mm-hmm. You don't watch it with your girlfriend, especially if you're planning on going away to a cabin in the woods in the near future.
Don't watch it in a cabin in the woods.
No, don't.
Yeah, if you're walking her to your car or to her apartment or house or whatever after this first date, and she goes, "Hey, you want to go camping?"
Just say no.
I recently lost my son, and I just.
I think maybe I'm gonna pass. Hard pass on the cabin. Yeah.
Although, having said that, I do think that first 5 minutes is one of the most beautiful shot pieces of cinema I've ever seen. The rest of the movie is quite disturbing, but that first 5 minutes is just beautiful. The black and white and the slow motion.
The pairing with the music too.
Yes,
the music choice. Yeah.
Just from a technical point of view, it's beautiful. And an artistic point of view too, but just on a technical level.
You can actually just find the that Antichrist prologue uploaded to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If
you
want to, yeah, it is. Yeah, with wangs and all, because it's art, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it gets around the YouTube loophole because it's art.
Yeah, it shouldn't be flagged for nudity or anything.
It's age restricted because of a lot of penis, but It is considered art, so it is up on YouTube. You can go and watch it if you want to know exactly what we're talking about. It's quite short. It's probably only 7 minutes long.
Oh, I think less than that, but yeah, it's pretty short.
It's 5 minutes.
Yeah, being generous, but probably less than that.
Yeah, so I would recommend everyone go and watch that first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
As for the rest of it, I think if you're in the right mood and you like artistic movies, and you
want to hate yourself,
yeah, you're not offended by nudity or people
genital
cutting
mutilation,
genital mutilation,
extreme sexual violence, and
absolute batshittery.
Yeah.
And then Antichrist is for you.
Just searched it. Yeah, just search Antichrist opening.
Yep.
YouTube. It's the first video. And it's uncut and it's 5 minutes and 45 seconds.
I told you it was there.
Complete with Wang.
Complete with Wang.
Willem Dafoe dick. You're welcome.
Not bloodied at this point.
Yeah, no, intact dick.
Well, he's not circumcised, so.
Yeah, the genital mutilation comes later. While he's awake. Hey, somewhat like circumcision.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad she didn't do that.
Oh, God. Oh, while it was erect?
Yeah.
Oh! I make jokes about the whole potato peeler and the cervix thing, but that's coming too close to real.
Let me just cut that off there while it's at its most sensitive.
And taut. How would you even know what to remove? Well, I guess you'd just be like any doctor.
Yeah.
Just guess. It's fine.
Yep.
Yeah,
So any last thoughts on either movie?
Bloody Wang.
Bloody Wang.
Yeah.
Well, Discopathe, once again, a really strangely awesome nostalgic throwback that isn't just in it for nostalgia. It could actually pass as a movie of this type shot in the 70s, which is rare, and it's not really the greatest movie, but it is a lot of fun. And if you're gonna watch it, I would honestly suggest watching it back to back with Suspiria or something like that.
So good. So good.
Just to get a taste for that giallo Italian genre of slasher crime thriller.
I might have to pick Suspiria at some point.
Yeah, it's good.
Ooh.
It's
well, your picks are up next episode, which we'll get to in a minute.
I'm the weeb.
And of course, Antichrist, which I would recommend with an asterisk.
Not for the faint of heart.
Yes, if you're in the right mood and you don't mind movies that are a little bit extreme, then by all means, take the experience. But be careful. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, and you might find yourself a little bit disheartened after watching it.
Yeah,
you're gonna be sad.
Your faith in humanity might lower even just a little tick,
and your dick's gonna hurt.
Don't watch it with a loaded gun, is what we're saying.
Your genitals are gonna be sore afterwards.
Yeah,
close the good way.
Close the bottle of whiskey, put the gun away, and go to town.
And stopping.
So next episode.
Oh, I'm weeping all over the place.
Another depressing film.
Yeah, Grave of the Fireflies is another one. If you want to cry all over yourself and then want to die a little bit, this is a good movie to watch. But at least Train to Busan's not like completely. A little bit. Everybody dies.
But it's not. It's not about two war victims starving to death in a cave.
No, children.
Yes.
So you have a zombie movie and an anime movie.
Yeah,
yes.
an animated World War II epic and Korean zombie movie.
Which I watched the other day and quite enjoyed.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, it's actually a really original zombie movie.
Yeah, very high quality too.
Yeah, if you're into zombies, go watch Train to Busan. We'll be talking about that in a couple weeks.
Mm.
Yeah, those Koreans, man, they're
coming for us.
Yeah,
with their kick-ass zombie movies and stuff.
Yeah, and the second one is in development right now. So
I'm so excited.
Now is the perfect time to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
So just to wrap up, any recommendations of new movies that have
Hereditary.
I wholeheartedly suggest Hereditary.
Yeah, I saw that a couple of weeks ago. It was quite good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still coming down after seeing it. I've only seen it once, but it definitely lived up to the hype, the small amount of hype that it had in my mind. Extremely well made.
Yeah, it builds, doesn't it?
It really does. The atmosphere, you could cut it with a knife.
Oh yes, I love the play with sound in that movie.
It's a harrowing film. I found it deeply disturbing and depressing.
If you have crazy family members, it's gonna upset you.
I did love the final scene in the what was it, the treehouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was very, very good.
It was jarring for me. Was it jarring for you? It kind of came out of left field, but it was expected at the same time.
Yeah.
I kind of saw it going maybe in that direction, but I wasn't sure. And then it did, and it was like, wow. They
Look at us trying to avoid spoilers on this show. Aww.
And I also saw the Meg the other day.
Oh, what did you think of that? I kind of want to see that as a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it's not a great movie, but it's a lot of fun. It's a giant shark eating people, as you would expect.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too bad.
Who's in that? It's Jason Statham, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, he seems like an odd choice. I don't know.
I like him.
No, I like him too as an action star. I don't find him to be insufferable like I do a lot of other
British action man.
But he just seems like an odd choice. But again, I've only seen one trailer, so maybe he's not.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I mean, don't go in expecting an art movie, but
shark movies.
Yeah, if you want switch your brain off and watch a big action kind of romp, then it's not too bad. Nothing too intellectual though. The schlock.
Well, that's good. After Antichrist, I could use that.
Which you watched today again, didn't you?
I did.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
I just watched it again today. Which it baffles me how I don't remember much about it every time I watch it.
You're just discovering new horrors, new layered fucking horrors within it.
I can work through the film scene for scene in my head. Obviously, I can't remember every word, but I don't know. Maybe I don't like to talk about it.
Good choice, dear. Good
Excellent
choice.
for an online hangout. Something I don't like to talk. Perfect.
Fabulous, darling. Wonderful. 10 out of 10. Your episodes are going to be fun.
Oh, well, I'm going to try to pick some more enjoyable films, I think. We'll see.
Yeah, but enjoyable.
He's trying to break us, is what he's trying to do.
You can enjoy things on different levels, though.
Yeah.
So I think both of those picks were enjoyable. Just with Antichrist, like I said, I think you have to be in the right frame of mind to watch it. And it's not for everyone.
Definitely. It's not. I purposefully chose two movies that were almost exact opposites of each other in terms of tone. I mean, both are horror films at their core, but they're completely different. So I thought that would make for an interesting episode.
Certainly
and hopefully you'll go out and watch a few more Giallo films, because they're a lot of fun, horribly dubbed, and impossible to find in the original Italian now.
Bloody Wang.
There needs to be a movie called Bloody Wang.
There probably is.
About an Asian guy who's taking on the Yakuza or something.
There's got to be.
Yeah, like an 80s Asian action movie or something.
Yeah.
Made in England.
Something in the vein of like American Ninja or something.
Yeah, complete with overdubbed sound effects every time he hits someone.
Yeah. Yeah, so they have a sword strike when they get punched in the face by accident or something. Yeah, I've heard that happen before. So anyway, shall we call it quits?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Any last thoughts?
Bloody Wang!